Are you tired of losing hands battles at the kitchen line in pickleball? In this video, we'll reveal the 6 secrets for unlocking faster hands in pickleball so that you win more firefights and stop getting targeted by speed ups.
Let's get into it.
The first tip for unlocking fast hands in pickleball is anticipation. Now, anticipation is an interesting subject in pickleball because having too much anticipation can cause you to overreach or lunge, and having too little anticipation can cause you to be late to the ball. So real quick, I'm gonna break down 3 tips for better anticipation in pickleball, and make sure that you combine these tips with the next steps of the video, because that's gonna help you utilize anticipation to the greatest strength and not let it become a weakness for you. So I'm gonna break down real quick 3 pro tips for anticipation. The first one is that you actually wanna slightly cheat to your backhand. Now, you don't wanna over cheat, but when you're in these firefights, 3 locations, meaning here, here, and here, are all gonna be hit with your backhand. Only one location is gonna be your forehand. So you can kind of slightly cheat to your backhand. That's pro tip number 1. Pro tip number 2 is called the seesaw effect. Okay, so here's what this means. If ever I'm in a firefight, I'm gonna look at the paddle positioning and the ball positioning when it's on the other side of the net. So for example, if my opponent is speeding up a ball from a low position, so let's say she's speeding up the ball from this low position, that tells me it's going to be coming to a high position. So what I wanna do is I wanna anticipate high, okay? So the lower the ball is, the lower my opponent makes contact with the ball, the higher I wanna anticipate. The opposite is true. If my opponent is attacking or speeding up from a high position, I wanna be able and ready to defend low. That's that seesaw effect that will help you win more hands battles. And the last tip for anticipation has to do with what we call the triangle effect. This is a much more advanced tip, but it can really help you anticipate well. Let's take, for example, if I'm speeding the ball up off the bounce from this location on the court, okay? If I were to speed this ball up and I pulled it across my opponent's body to the backhand side, I can expect that next ball to come in a triangle manner because I'm pulling the ball this way, it's gonna come back here. So if you watch a lot of pro players, when they take this and speed the ball up to that inside hip of their opponent, immediately they come here because they're expecting the ball to go in a triangle. Okay, the opposite can be true. If you're speeding up this way, the ball can come this way. So the next time you're on court, give the triangle effect a try, and I promise you'll be more successful in hands battles.
This is something I noticed a lot of advanced players doing, and when I tried it, it unlocked a new level of fast hands for me when it comes to kitchen battles. And it's having a short and compact swing. Now there's 2 ways that I see people have too big of a swing. So one of them is from back to front, meaning having a huge backswing and then thus having a huge follow through. You have to remember a pickleball court is a lot smaller than a lot of your other racket sport courts. So having this huge swing will often get you out of position because it's taking so much time to get your paddle back and then let it swing all the way through. You'll see the pros that have some of the fastest hands have a very short backswing. A good rule of thumb, especially if you're getting into a firefight at the kitchen line, is almost using this kitchen line as a barrier to not let your paddle go behind. So I like to think of it like having my paddle stay in front of the kitchen line and then short swing through. That way, you're so much quicker getting to reload and have your paddle in that next ready position. Another area where I see people kind of have too big of a swing is they'll try to do a hands battle with their paddle way out to the side. Again, you're super off balance and off positioning. So if you need to get to a ball, it's better to get your body and lean with your body to that position so that you can, again, reload faster and not be out of position as you're reaching to the side of your body. That's going to give you more powerful shots, more compact shots, and you'll have a lot more control in those firefights.
This next tip is super important for unlocking fast hands at the kitchen line, and it's not talked about enough. And it has to do with balance and head positioning. One of the things I notice in pickleball a lot is that players that are especially at the beginner intermediate level, you see a lot of head movement forwards and backwards. The problem with this is it's pulling you off balance. Instead, I want you to have a nice wide base, bend those knees. You want to keep those upper extremities, including your head, nice and quiet, and you want to keep that base. So there's a lot of movement here. There's not a lot of movement here, okay? So again, try to avoid over lunging or overreaching with your head and your upper extremities. Keep this quiet and really work on good footwork, keeping that nice athletic base. That's gonna help you win more firefights in pickleball.
This next tip is really small, but it actually makes a huge difference when it comes to responding to firefights at the kitchen line, and it has to do with tracking the ball with your hips and your shoulders. So, for example, if a ball gets swung to the opposite corner of the kitchen, if I keep my hips and shoulders faced this way, if a ball is sped up from that corner, it's very hard for me to react to that ball. But if I'm tracking that ball with my paddle, my shoulders, and my hips, and I open up my hips to where that ball is coming, now I don't have to have a huge backswing because I'm already in position to have that short and compact swing, and I'm ready to reload and get back. So it's really important to make sure wherever the ball is on the kitchen line that you're tracking it with your paddle, your shoulder, and your hips, and you're opening up this area to face that ball. That's going to make a huge difference when it comes to responding to speed ups.
This next tip will absolutely change the game for you in hands battles. Remember, in hands battles, it is very important that you want to hit down on the ball. Typically in hands battles, the first person to hit down at the feet is going to be the person that comes out on top. Not all the time, but typically, okay? So one of the ways you can do this is through paddle positioning. The reason chopping at the ball is not effective is because it's very hard to get that ball down with pace. Instead, you kind of want to think about taking these top knuckles and rotating them towards the ground to close that paddle face. In other words, I should not be able to peek over the paddle and see the paddle face. I want it away from me and down. This is going to help me counter down on the ball. So here's kind of what I mean. I see a lot of people when they get a speed up, they kind of chop down at the ball like that, or they get in a hands battle, do it again, and they are really chopping and lunging forward. As I said before, it's important not to lunge forward. It's to stay in that base. And then when I receive that ball, I really want to try to angle down. So give me another feed here. And I'm gonna try to get that paddle angled down. Now that's gonna help me win more battles because I've angled the paddle correctly. That is gonna help you win more hands battles in pickleball.
One of the most frustrating things in a firefight is that feeling of popping up the ball after you get jammed. So one way that you can avoid this is intentionally creating space between the ball and your body. That way you're getting more leverage and more control during those firefights on the course. So for example, when you are in a firefight, you have to be aware of moving your feet and your body. So if I'm dinking with someone in front of me and they hit a ball and I'm not creating space with my body, I'm gonna get jammed. It's gonna look something like this. I can't really do much with that ball because I have zero leverage because that paddle is just right here. I have no option. So a better thing to do is when I'm dinking, I want to visualize and almost cue mentally throwing my hands away from my body, like to the side of my body. That way I'm creating space. So for example, it'll look something like this. Someone goes right at my body, I'm creating space. I leaned a little bit, again, because that's gonna give me the leverage. It's the same thing, backhand and forehand. Again, I think cue, throw the hand to the side, and then go through with the shot. That's gonna really create power, leverage, and control when you're getting in hands battles at the kitchen line. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the PlayPickleball.com YouTube channel.
And we'll see you on the next one.